in the introduction, we have first discussed what is meant by chromatography. Then history. Actually, it was first used by scientist Michael Sweet in 1906 for the separation of plant pigment. Then just a definition for the chromatography. Then general principle. This is very important. General principle for the chromatography. And then also about the classification of chromatography based on two different modes. Now let us see one more point, advantages of chromatography. Actually, what we are going to discuss in that point, yes, what are the advantages of chromatography over other physical and chemical methods? We know that in our chemistry, there are so many physical and chemical methods are available for the separation of mixture. But chromatography is the best technique. Now question arises, why it is best? What are the advantages of this technique? Now let us say advantages. First one, the component which having very similar physical and chemical properties can be separated and identified by using chromatographic method. This is the first and best advantage. Means suppose there is a mixture of two components. Then that two component having similar boiling point, then we cannot separate that mixture by using distillation. We cannot separate by using usual physical method like distillation, because by using distillation, the component which are separated, which having only a large difference in their boiling point. But here, if the boiling point is similar, then we cannot separate. Suppose there is a mixture of two organic compounds which having similar functional group. Suppose there is a mixture of two acid, then it is difficult to separate by using that usual chemical method. Suppose there is a protein. We know that protein on hydrolysis use mixture of amino acid. This is amino acid, one amino acid. Here R1 is different. In this case, this is also amino acid. R2 is different. Means there is a mixture of two amino acid. Now, the two amino acid both having NH2 group, COOH group, means amino and carboxylic group, and therefore they cannot be separated by using common chemical method. The common chemical method न separate करायचा असेल, that two components should have different functional group, but they having same functional group. Therefore, cannot be separate by using our common physical as well as chemical method. But such type of the amino acid can be separated by using chromatography. The component which having very similar physical and chemical property can be separated and identified by using chromatographic method. This is best advantage of the chromatographic technique. Now let us see second one. Chromatography is very sensitive. Very sensitive. Means even 0.1 microgram substance can be separated and identified by using usual chemical method, usual common chemical or physical method. We cannot separate, we cannot identify 0.1 microgram of sample. But this method is highly sensitive and very, very less amount of the sample can be analyzed. Even very 0.1 microgram substance can be separated. It can be detected by using chromatography. Again, this is one of the best advantage of this technique because it is highly sensitive method, very, very sensitive method. Okay, now let us see third one. We know that by using chemical method, by using physical method, there may be decomposition of the substance during the separation. For example, there is a distillation. During the distillation, we are strongly heating that substance, and therefore it can be decomposed. There is just a loss of the compound. Similarly, at the time of the separation by using chemical method, there is a loss of substance. त्या ठिकाणी सबस्टन्सचा लॉस होतोय आणि डिकम्पोजिशन सुद्धा होऊ शकतं. But by using chromatographic separation, there is a very, very less decomposition and loss of the technique. And therefore, simply we can say that decomposition and loss of the compound during the separation is very less as compared to other method, as compared to other technique. Now let us say next one. The chromatographic separation can be carried out at ordinary temperature. This method can be carried out at ordinary temperature, means there is no need to maintain a specific temperature. There is no need to maintain some low temperature, high temperature, which we have using for so many reactions, so for so many physical method. But for the chromatographic technique, there is no need to carry out a specific temperature. That methods can be carried out at ordinary temperature, at room temperature. Okay, this is again advantage. Then next one is the by using that chromatographic technique, trace amount of impurity can be detected and estimated. This is the great advantage or great application of this chromatographic technique. By using this technique, a trace amount of impurity can be detected. Means suppose in pharmaceutical industry, that application is very commonly used to check the purity of sample. Suppose there is a 1 kilogram paracetamol which have been prepared in industry, 1 kilogram of paracetamol. After preparation, after synthesis of paracetamol, always it is checked फॉर इट्स प्युरिटी. त्याची प्युरिटी आपण चेक करतो. मग प्युरिटी चेक करताना पॅरासिटामॉल आहे, सपोज मी टीएलसीचं एक्झाम्पल घेतो, दिस इज द टीएलसी. मग टीएलसी वरती आपण इथं पॅरासिटामॉलचा स्पॉट दिला, थोडंसं सॅम्पल घेतलं, त्याचा स्पॉट आपण इथं दिला. पॅरासिटामॉल इज द सिंगल कंपाऊंड, बरोबर. पॅरासिटामॉल इज द सिंगल कंपाऊंड. मग तुम्ही पेपर क्रोमॅटोग्राफीला आपल्याला त्याचा स्पॉट किती दिसेल? जस्ट सिंगल स्पॉट आला, बरोबर. कारण एकच कंपाऊंड आहे, त्यामध्ये दुसरा नाहीये. देअरफॉर वी शुड बी गेट सिंगल कंपाऊंड और वी शुड बी गेट सिंगल स्पॉट ऑन द टीएलसी और पेपर क्रोमॅटोग्राफी. बट सपोज इफ वी आर हॅव्हिंग वन मोर स्पॉट, जर आपल्याला आणखीन एखादा स्पॉट मिळाला, व्हॉट शुड बी द कन्क्लुजन? Yes, that paracetamol having one more component means there is a impurity. There is a impurity. If we are having only single spot, then it is pure sample. But if there is one more component, one more spot, then there is an impurity. Means by using that chromatographic technique, we can check, we can detect, we can estimate the impurity. That technique is used to check the purity of the sample. Okay, and trace means very less amount of the. Suppose there is a 10 kilogram of paracetamol and it having only 1 gram of impurity, we can identify, we can estimate that impurity by using that chromatography, because this is a very sensitive method. And lastly, yes, this is a very simple and rapid method as compared to other chemical and physical method. This is very simple and rapid. Okay, means we can carry out at ordinary temperature, ordinary laboratory condition, and therefore it is simple and rapid technique. Okay, these are the advantages of chromatography. We have studied some of the advantages of chromatography. Means why that technique is better than other. What are the positive points of this technique over other physical and chemical methods for the analysis? Okay, this is the best technique, chromatography. In the introduction, we have studied what is meant by chromatography, then definition of the chromatography, also about the general principle of the chromatography, means how the component of the mixture gets separated. Actually, there is a distribution between stationary and mobile phase. And lastly, about the classification of chromatography based on two different modes for the classification. And lastly, advantages of chromatography, means why it is more superior than other physical and chemical methods.